I don't guess I understand why it's like, why are you trying to hide it? What do you think that's all about?
You could go a couple of different ways with that.
And is it the Big 12 hiding it, or is
Well,
that coming from somewhere else?
I think it's safe to say that it's not the Big 12 wanting to hide it. Because think about who published, like who put out the tweet. College AD.
Right.
Who the hell is College AD?
Some national publication.
If Memphis had it, if Memphis was the one that wanted this to get out, why was Calkins not writing about it? You would tell Calkins.
It'd come out from the Memphis side or somebody from
exactly.
Right.
You would tell one of these notable Memphians.
Sure.
And they would get the piece.
Sure.
You can control what's being said because you feed that information to them. This just came out from some before that tweet. I've never heard of College AD. They've got 25 some odd thousand followers.
I mean,
on
they're
Twitter.
a legit publication, and they have since come back out and reaffirmed their position that it happened. I mean, they released another tweet on Friday after all of this and basically said, like, we are confirming our report earlier that Brett York. And I mean, you mentioned semantics. It was, at least to me, like, the statements that he's made are very clear. I think it was Pete Thamel that tweeted one out.
Yeah.
That said, I have not met with anyone at Memphis about Big 12 membership, and I have never been on campus. Well, it's like, okay, but you didn't come out and say, I was not in Memphis this weekend.
Exactly.
Or yesterday.
Exactly.
I've never spoken to people that are tied to Memphis. You just said at Memphis and on campus. Like, well, Simmons Bank is not on campus. The FedEx Forum is not on campus. The Peabody is not, wherever the meeting happened. Like,
sure.
Yeah, okay, you didn't go to campus, but you also didn't shut down that you were in Memphis. And you didn't come out and say something so direct as Memphis is not under consideration. Or he could have killed it right there.
Absolutely.
Altogether. And he didn't do that.
And Memphis could have killed it.
Right.
Memphis hasn't come out and said nothing. They haven't said,
Right.
We didn't meet with any. Well, I mean, like, no statement has been made where it's shut it down.
Well, it was 24 hours or more, right? And
Yeah.
if it's not true, at least from Memphis's perspective, you would think that somebody would have come out and be like, well,
I guess
let's not let.
the mayor was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But his response was to a meeting on campus, and he said, I don't know about a campus meeting.
Yeah.
So that semantics again.
Yeah.
Well, if a meeting on campus didn't happen, he answered your question. He doesn't know about a meeting at the campus.
Yeah, it's very specific what's being said. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. And it's the little things that they're leaving out when they make these little statements, I think, that play a hand in it.
So do you take anything from him saying, I've never met with anyone at Memphis? Do you think that in of itself is like city leaders? And then, I mean, it's been out there before. It was out there in 2016, FedEx. There was a discussion around them being the sponsor for the Big 12 title game. Is that Yormick was here and meeting with FedEx and city leaders in a location off of campus to see what kind of things that we could bring to the table as a community being in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I would take that, honestly. I would imagine someone from FedEx, you could even tell me that the mayor could have been there. All of these people that know the plans of FedEx Forum, that know the how much money is going to the forum, how much money is going to Simmons Bank. This is what we plan to do. Here are the blueprints. Obviously, you can go over the same PowerPoint that's already been out, like the same diagrams, but you can dive so much deeper. Because I think it was on Twitter, I said something about, like, if someone came, just shoot them a blueprint if you're just going to talk about the stadium enhancements. So
100%.
obviously something else was talked about.
And some people had thrown that out there, was like, they've got the tie-in with the Autos Liberty Bowl. Maybe they were here. And it's like, why? If
They've
that was
been
the
here
case,
every year.
then Yormick would have just said, it had nothing to do with the University of Memphis. We were here talking about the Autos Liberty Bowl.
Yeah. It was obviously more than that. Like, could that, I don't even know if it was centered around the enhancements being made to the Liberty Bowl. Like, Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium. Like, we have no clue. Right, You're here for one game a year. It seems kind of silly.
That's to your point. That's send an email over and be like, "Hey, these are the improvements we're making." Like, dang, that looks great.
It had to be something way more than that.
Yeah,
but the whom, no clue. Why it was kept a secret, maybe that's because of the whom.
And to that point, I will say, if you listened to Calkins immediately after Dennis was on Gabe's show on Friday, he alluded to the possibility of the secrecy being because Fred could be involved. And he used the example of the showboats. You know, a few months ago, there was a press conference, football related, and there was secrecy around it. Like, everybody assumed that it was about the showboats, right, and kicking the season off.
Yeah.
But like, it didn't come out, and it wasn't directly stated like this is a showboats press conference. And ultimately, what Jeff was saying is like he asked around and asked why that was the case, and the answer was Fred is involved, and Fred wanted it to be kept under wraps.
Sure.
So it's like, to your point, is it the Big 12 that's trying to hide it, or is it Fred was in the conversation? He was like, and Jeff talked about this today, if you guys were listening on the radio, but, you know, in 2016, we mentioned the FedEx being involved, being a Big 12 title sponsor, and then nothing came of it.
Yeah.
So is he like, I don't want this getting out there if nothing happens, because last time it got out, we were embarrassed.
Sure.
The city was embarrassed. Like, nothing came of it. And everybody's talking about Memphis trying to buy their way in, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, maybe it is from our side that they're trying to keep things quiet. And then that would explain also why Mayor Strickland was stonewalled Jackson about the whole thing.